In 1976, in a garage in Los Altos, California, two young men built a computer that nobody asked for. They had no funding, no business plan, no guarantee it would work. But they built it anyway, because they couldn't not build it. One of these men would go on to change the world. But first, he had to lose everything. Everything. This is the story of Steve Jobs. A story about chasing what you love, even when the world tells you to stop. Stephen Paul Jobs never knew his biological parents. He was adopted by Paul and Clara Jobs, a working-class couple from Silicon Valley. His adoptive father was a mechanic. His mother was an accountant. Neither finished college. Neither could have imagined what their son would become. But Paul Jobs taught young Steve something invaluable, that you don't have to be born into greatness to create it. In that garage, surrounded by tools and circuits, Steve learned that ordinary people could build extraordinary things, that craftsmanship mattered, that every detail counted. Steve grew up in the 1960s, a time of rebellion, of questioning everything. While other kids wanted steady jobs and security, Steve wanted meaning, purpose, beauty. He enrolled at Reed College in Oregon, searching for answers, but not in the traditional way. He dropped out after 6 months, sleeping on friends' couches, returning bottles for money. He attended calligraphy classes for free. He meditated. He questioned everything. Everyone around him thought he was throwing his life away. They couldn't see what he saw, that he was gathering the pieces of a puzzle that hadn't been assembled yet. By 1985, Steve Jobs was a legend. The Apple II had made him rich, famous. At 30 years old, he seemed unstoppable. But then everything fell apart. The board of directors hired a new CEO named John Sculley. Steve believed in innovation over profit. Sculley believed in profit. They clashed, constantly. And Steve, brilliant, uncompromising Steve, lost. In September 1985, Steve Jobs was forced out of Apple, the company he founded, the company that bore his vision. He was publicly humiliated, rejected by his own creation. And in that moment, at the height of what should have been his greatest triumph, Steve hit rock bottom. Most people would have quit. Most people would have said, I was right, but they didn't understand me. I gave up, and that would have been the end. But Steve Jobs wasn't most people. The next day, Steve started NeXT Computer. He was no longer trying to please a board, no longer compromising his vision. For the first time, he could build exactly what he believed in, without apology. He also bought a struggling computer animation company called Pixar. Everyone thought it was a waste of money, a dead-end investment, but Steve saw something nobody else did. He believed that technology and art could merge, that you didn't have to choose between them. You could make something that was both technically brilliant and artistically beautiful. In 1995, Pixar released Toy Story. It wasn't just a movie, it was proof that Steve's vision was right all along. That you could fail, be rejected, lose everything, and still come back. Transformed. A decade later, Apple was dying. The company that had rejected him was now desperate, and Steve came home, not in anger, not in triumph, but with clarity about what he'd learned in his exile. The products that followed weren't just computers, they were a manifesto. They proved that technology didn't have to be complicated, that simplicity was revolutionary. The caring about the user, not the profits, was the entire point. Steve Jobs didn't just resurrect Apple, he created one of the most valuable companies in the world. The iPod, the iPhone, the iPad, products that became so seamlessly woven into human life that we can't imagine existence without them. But the money and the power and the products, those were never what it was about. What mattered was the pursuit itself, the refusal to accept mediocrity, the belief that you could change things, that your life didn't have to follow the script written for you. Steve Jobs faced cancer in his later years. He had time to think about what had mattered, and in interviews, he came back to the same truth over and over. The struggles weren't obstacles, they were the point. They were what forged him. He said, "The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Not to be perfect, not to win every battle, but to love what you do so deeply that the struggle becomes sacred." Steve Jobs teaches us something radical. That failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the beginning of it. He was fired, but that fire forged him. He was rejected by his own company, but that rejection taught him what he really believed in. He faced obstacles that seemed insurmountable, but he didn't see them as walls. He saw them as information, as teachers. Your greatest struggle is not your enemy. It's your inheritance. It's the experience that will teach you who you really are. It's the moment you're learning to build something that matters. When you're young and ambitious, you think success means everything going according to plan. But the people who change things, the people who create ripples that last centuries, they're the ones who are willing to be rejected, to be lost, to fail so completely that they had nothing left but what they truly believed in. Steve Jobs came to Silicon Valley with nothing but a belief that at the intersection of technology and art, something sacred happens. That ordinary people can build extraordinary things. That your life doesn't have to be a predetermined path. It can be a masterpiece you create. And that lesson, that possibility, doesn't die with one man. It lives in everyone brave enough to believe it.